Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. We are live on the midnight beta, and if you are an arms warrior right now, whether it's PvE or it's PvP, you're probably losing your mind because you're just on the bottom end of performance and things are looking like a struggle for you moving into the next expansion. So in today's video, I wanted to share a build that I found yesterday from another player that has actually increased my fun experience on the class quite significantly, although it still does have some huge drawbacks that are important to bring to attention. Now, obviously, with Midnight coming out, they've reworked the entire talent trees for the most part. They've added additional points that you can put in. They've rebalanced things. They've added Apex talents, which modify core abilities. So the way that you expect your class to play might not be like that anymore. And Arms Warrior right here is a peak example of it. So this talent tree focuses on Colossus as the hero talent tree, and it focuses heavily around Slam. Slam is actually going to be the main ability that you're going to want to think about when you're going into play on your Arms Warrior. It's going to be your main priority. So we have talents like the Apex, which converted into Heroic Strike, which adds armor penetration. It adds more scalability into the spell. We have other abilities that also increase the damage of our Mortal Strike with synergies through Slam, so Slam can be interchanged with Overpower. We have other abilities that just reduce Slam's rage cost, which enable us to just spam Slam and do a ton of damage. We have talents that modify crits chance and crit damage and other things of Slam. So Slam is the main focus. You'll notice that a lot of your other abilities like Blade Storm do significantly less damage than they would previously. I've seen other warriors like Bajira. He's picked up the talent Fervor in Battle, which I will test on this video as well to see if I like it or not, which is that Whirlwind, if it hits 3 or more targets, will cause Slam to deal 50% more damage. And considering Slam is such a huge component of it, 50% more on it can absolutely be massive. So when you're going under the training dummy with this talent build, my main priority is to Thunderclap to keep Rend up, Overpower if we don't have Rage for Slam, and keep Mortal Strike on the target for the healing reduction, basically, is the priority. So we charge in, we get Mortal Strike up, we don't have Rage, so we're going to Overpower. We Overpower a couple times, we'll pop cooldowns, and then we can start spamming Slam. You see how it's upgraded into Heroic Strike, so we're just able to spam Slam, spam Slam, spam Slam, and just keep spamming Slam, and you'll see that it scales really high on the damage meter as far as single target damage. And it's really this simple. You don't have Rage, you Overpower. You don't have Mortal Strike on the target, you Mortal Strike. You don't have Rend, get Rend up. And then just go back to spamming Slam, and you will see yourself doing significant damage. You've got great Rage expenditure for cooldown reduction. On Anger Management, we have Spear of Bastion. We're still working up towards stacks of our Demolish hit as well, which we've just hit the peak of, and we can toss out Demolish and absolutely clobber people. So it's a very simple rotation. You'll see when you look at the damage breakdown that it's a huge portion of your damage here between both Slam down here as well as Heroic Strike, which is the conversion of that ability. It's going to be your main priority. This is the only way that I've been really able to squeeze out effective damage with it. So out of everything that I've seen so far and that I've tested personally, which is why I would highly recommend this build to you at this point in time. I didn't even use my Spear of Bastion for crit modifiers, and considering the other things, I do want to give this talent over here a little bit of a run. I'm thinking that we're going to drop Slam's rage cost reduction simply because we're going to use Whirlwind instead to activate Slam. So if we move this talent over here, we'll then be able to replace basically Whirlwind on our or replace Slam on our action bar with Whirlwind. And I kind of want to just run the numbers on this just to see like how much damage can it really do. So we'll reset and we hit like close to like 60 or 70,000 DPS there. So we charge into the target, we Thunderclap, we Overpower a couple times. Execute proc's also a good priority. We'll pop cooldowns. This time we'll use our Spear, and now we'll use Whirlwind. So this is going to slam the target as well as cleave AoE damage. And it looks like it's scaling us quite a bit higher, actually. If you can actually get this on multiple targets with pets, this is doing significantly more damage. This might be something to go, especially considering how good Death Knights are, considering how good Warlocks are with all of their pets and stuff like that. You're probably going to. It seems a little bit more rage-starved, but that just means we'll prioritize Overpower a little bit more in the rotation, and we can still get a lot of effective damage. And I don't even have Sweeping Strikes on, so that might even Sweeping Strikes cleave the Overpower onto the other target when you Whirlwind, which is going to give you really chunky damage. And we still have Demolish that we're building up to as far as like an end game and a capstone. So rotationally, little bit of like an adaptation mentally that you're going to need to make as far as spamming Slam or Whirlwind in this case if you're running a Fervor for battle build. But this is the only build I've seen that is really doing anything of any sort of effectiveness. But if we Sweeping Strikes with all of our cooldowns and we spam Whirlwinds, we're probably going to get some pretty juicer damage. I think we're peaking just a little bit higher, so it's slightly more damage, although it is target dependent. So you would have to know that you're going to be cleaving multiple targets for this to really be a viable option for like a Whirlwind build like this. If you expect you're going to be hitting single targets, I think losing the rage reduction is likely not going to be worth it. I think the Slam spam will just be more efficient, at least so far from this experience. We spear and we drop down to Demolish, give him a quick little hit, go back to spamming Whirlwind with all of our cooldowns, big crit modifiers, big slams. Yeah, you can see Slam doing significantly high damage. The interactions with buffing Mortal Strike feel good. This is basically just one of the best combinations that you're going to be able to get any sort of throughput out of your warrior. Like if you've logged on and you feel like you're just doing no damage to any target, health bar is not moving, Blade Storm is tickling. This is the build to get around that. However, you do still have significant drawbacks when it comes to mobility. I was really expecting actually warrior mobility to be good, but you pretty much have to be a gnome, otherwise you're just going to be rooted most of the game, since they took away the root break effects from things like Avatar. And I've often thought of Blade Storm now as just a mobility cooldown as opposed to a damage cooldown, because its damage output is significantly lower than that of this kind of like Slam spam that you've got going on. I'm also running Fueled for Violence. I found that the self-healing on this is just more significant, especially if you're thunderclapping lots of pets. It gives you a lot of healing, although maybe against Subtlety Rogue you could flip this around for Ignore Pain to preempt damage on a stun, but it's probably still not enough to keep you alive, whereas this would just keep healing you anyways, even if you just got Rens. So it kind of depends maybe if there's pets or not, as opposed to whether you would flip between Ignore Pain or Fueled for Violence. But I do like that there's a choice there to think about, like, okay, what am I fighting? This is a better one for that situation. I'll flip over to that, and I'll get a little bit more of an edge when it comes to talent selection with the current builds. But yeah, mobility is still going to be rough, just due to that. You will 100% want to play a gnome if you are going to commit to this, which is a very big commitment. Maybe we end up getting buffed though, because it is still kind of riding like mid-level, maybe underperforming almost in Mythic Plus. If we do get like a little bit of a juice, a little bit of a buff, we're probably going to be pretty strong, but survivability is still on the low end, even with significant healing effects like Second Wind getting buffed, Impending Victory, and all these kind of passive healing effects. We're still very squishy, at least when it comes to rated PvP brackets. If you're more interested in world PvP and 1v1 though, I think this might be the best time to play an Arms Warrior, because obviously historically Arms Warrior not really the greatest 1v1, but right now it's actually very good because this healing isn't nerfed by dampening out in world PvP. So if you're leveling and you want to engage in world PvP, I think that this could actually be a very fun build and a really strong one to go for. You probably wouldn't want the Fervor of Battle though, assuming that you're going to mostly go into like 1v1 skirmishes and stuff like that. I might even make a warrior first of all, just because of the world PvP experience, considering the season doesn't start I think for 2 weeks after it launches, especially in the pre-release if you have that. So leveling classes that are really good at world PvP and can have fun in like random battlegrounds at the start is probably going to be the best priority, which warrior can do well because there's no dampening, right? But when we get into competitive arena brackets, that's where warrior suffers. Low mobility, hard to get up time, just gets crushed by coordinated attacks. That's where you're going to struggle. But random BGs, solo PvP, I think Arms Warrior is actually in a pretty decent spot in those environments. So select the specialization, based on your needs and your playstyle and what you're trying to get out of the game. That's going to be my most important piece of advice for it. And it is hanging kind of on the lower side, so it might get some buffs that bring it up. So if you're picking it for solo PvP and stuff like that, I think it is a good run, and you stand likely to get some buffs, I would assume, although we have to wait and see, because we didn't see any changes this week for the beta, and I think they already released like a release candidate or something like that, so maybe we won't see any more changes, which means you'll be basically just locked into it for solo PvP stuff. But other than that, that's my breakdown for the Arms Warrior. Here's the build if you want to screenshot it. Take a run for it, because I was surprised and impressed at how good it is. But Mages and Hunters were still really hard to deal with. But outside of that, it's pretty good. Outside of that, it's pretty good. So thank you guys very much for tuning into the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. I hope this guys helps you enjoy your warrior more, because I know warriors out here, You guys are suffering, so I wanted to do a little bit to help you. If you want to make sure you stay up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then smash that subscribe button, or should I say slam that subscribe button. Thank you guys very much, and I will see you in the next one.